morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Reverend Annie Allen. I am a group facilitator, trainer, and coach in community development, in asset-based community development, and faith-based community engagement. I am delighted today to have with me my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Doug Smith. Doug has been engaged in community development work for quite some time. He has traveled with me to Palestine. We have worked together in various community development and community engagement projects here at the Rutherford Congregational Church. And today I've asked Doug to join us to share with him some of his experiences both at home and abroad, in engaging communities and bringing community assets to bear for the betterment of local communities. So Doug, Doug is also a retired mathematics and computer science professor. He has a doctorate in ministry and has worked with the United Methodist Church and now with the United Church of Christ in various mission activities using asset-based community development as its base. So Doug, tell us a little bit about how you began your journey in community development, and then I'll ask you more specifically about one particular example.
All right. Well, it happened kind of like jumping off a bridge. My pastor was doing training in communities of shalom work. That was a ministry of the Methodist Church up until a few years ago. And he invited us, those of us who'd gone through the training, to join him in Uganda. I thought I'd be observing, but we get there and who knew? We were put to work right away, working with the local citizens there and helping them and working in the field, sitting under the palm trees, no whiteboards, nothing fancy like that. And it's grown from there. But the main point when we talk about faith-based community development is we're using our faith as a backdrop for the work. And I think of it as being spiritual development as we go into the community and listen and engage with them. So the idea is that each community or a group of people that want to make a new possibility happen have some assets that they can bring to bear on the problem. So the challenge is to help them to discover what those assets are, and then to also see what might be missing or what the gap is. So I love the metaphor of the glass of water, with the, This one is quite full, but sometimes it's only half full, but it is half full instead of half empty. The work I've done in particular is about citizens, and Block, I'm aware of that book, but The Structure of Belonging, Community by Block, he defines a citizen as one who produces the future, someone who does not wait, beg, or dream of the future. So this challenges the individuals in the community to, I like the phrase, create new possibilities. They can be quite small or maybe large, but it's their ideas. So when I come in, I'm working with them. So often with charity work, we wind up doing things to the citizens, if you will. We might be providing food or clothing, which they appreciate, but they may not have asked for it. In this kind of work with asset-based community development, we're doing it with. So I go in and work with the team of people, and I'm always invited. That's one of the most important things. And in the cycle of doing this development, we have to listen. We have to discover kind of what the community wants and ask them questions, help them to connect and find the resources. so they can make it work. That's kind of the overview of it. And I can give you just one brief example. This is kind of a small project in Africa, Tukutu. It was a village that needed a bigger nursery school. And when I went, there was about 200 people there, and they all were asking me, we need a school, we need a bathroom, we need all these things, as if I was to provide them. And instead, I helped them to flip it around and find out, well, can you make bricks? And with those bricks, put another room on. Do you have some roofing materials from some of the houses you built, anything extra, and so on. So they wound up finding most of the assets, and they came up short $400, and I was able to raise that in 2 churches on one Sunday and send it over. And they got everything they wanted, including a well. So that's the way it works. And it's such joyous work to do. And when I leave a site or a community, I'm hoping they will look at each other and say, look what we did. Because my job is to help them realize their power and have them do it for themselves. And
Amen.
yeah, so that's the overview. And do you want me to go on with?
Well, we have a colleague, friend, student in common, Seema, in Palestine. And Seema was also a student in my class at Northwind Seminary and took our course, the same course that you were in asset-based community development. And you had been working with Seema for some time prior to that.
Yes.
A little bit about Seema. We just came back from there a few months ago, but I would like to share with our students that experience and how that whole thing evolved and grew from an I can't to a we can situation there.
Right. I'm sure you're aware of the situation there. Palestine is under military occupation by Israel, and they have very high walls built around the West Bank and Gaza, which restricts freedom of movement. The economy is weak. The government within it, Palestine, is not the best. Some would say corrupt. And so I met Seema in about 2012, I think it was. And I was just there on a fact-finding tour. But I stayed in her home, and we stayed in touch. And she contacted me later, another year, saying that she was working at a nursery school, and she wanted help with training the women there who were going to do the teaching. They don't have early childhood credentials there. So I gathered some resources, including a retired elementary school teacher and a couple of us. I have a master's in education. So we went over, and she told us kind of what she wanted and worked with us and with the sister to do the training. That was doable. She was good with that. But the economic empowerment was really important because women there wanted to find a way to contribute to their family. And the economy was very weak. They make handicrafts, but as Seema said, they don't get a fair price for it. In fact, they barely break even. And the tourist trade there has gone down based on the nature of the Israeli bus drivers, encourage them to shop elsewhere. So Seema was saying, I can't. Oh, no, we can't. How can we do anything? You know, the economy is stuck. You know, they can't export them. We can't do anything. Well, from there, I encourage her to think of, we can. You know, the glass is half full. Let's see what you've got. And she kind of got the idea, but not really, not full on. So over the course of, I went back every other year. We worked with the teachers in the school. We worked with the parents. We did some economic empowerment workshops where we worked with the Chamber of Commerce, came in, and the women near the end brought in some of their products and their packaging, and they got feedback on that. But they still had the problem of how to market it. But they had made good products and good strides, and they felt great about it. After Seema took the course from Annie, the light went on. I mean, I started 2012. This was 2022. Yeah, that's 10 years later. This work takes a long time. 10 years later, she takes the course, and everything I've been doing with her and the course it clicked.
I learned a lot from the course that I took with Annie before, and I'm trying a lot to apply what I learned. And the course that I took with Annie and the course that I'm taking now, it's given me the power to create something from the community. And this is a new idea in Palestine, but we succeed. هلا I went last week, maybe 10 days ago, to meet the nuns to tell them that Doug and some of the group, they are coming to give the course for the teachers, and we were discussing some of the things. Suddenly, because I love the kids, I get inside the class, I try to speak with them, to tell them, yalla, come on, let's play. They don't want to do anything, they are quiet, they are not happy. Wrong. This is not the image that I used to see with the kids. This is a new image for me. What's going on? Kids, yeah, let us play. Would you like to go to ride the bikes? Would you like to play with the footballs? No one is answering. Then I have a bag with lollipop, and I start to tell them, I have lollipops. Yalla, who would like to have? Yalla, I want each one will come to me. When they came near to me, I started to find some bruise on the faces, a bite, something. I said, are you hitting each other's here? I thought someone is attacking them in the nursery first of all. Then I said, no, we never do that, Seema. This is from their parents. I was shocked. I told her, how it comes this from the parents? There are many people, they wish to have kids, not to hit their kids. She said, the bad political, economic situation, and they are depressed, people depend on tourism, and they don't have work. I told her, even that, this is a gift from God. They have to take care of it. It's not acceptable. Then suddenly one of the boys, he told me, can you help me to open the lollipop? I told him, I look at his hand, it was burned. I told, what? How did you burn your hand? He said, no, my mom, she put them on the oven because I hate my brother. I got crazy when I heard this thing. I said, are we living in 2021?
Seema went to the sister and said, we have to do something. And the sister said, oh, no, we can't. We can't. We don't have any money. Now, this time it's Seema who says it. And Seema said to the sister, just you watch me. And what she did was to go into the community. It's a very congenial place, Bethlehem is, and people know each other. So she goes to the different shopkeepers and invites them to give school supplies, and food was donated. She found mothers to cook, and then she found several psychologists that would work pro bono with the parents and the children to help resolve situations. So I think it was 3 weeks after she noticed the sores and such, she opened the summer camp. 100 students, 100 students, no tuition, 3 meals a day. All this was free. And when she was done collecting what she could, she had a financial gap. She had to pay bills and swimming pool fees and so on. She had a financial gap of about $4,000. So she contacted me then, and then I sent it out to my churches to raise the money. And she sent us detailed reports and pictures and everything. It was just amazing. Second year of COVID, people wanted it again, 150 to 175. And a whole bevy of young people who acted as the leaders for the children during the day. So she went from seeing a problem to discovering, gathering people together, asking for what she needed, finding the gap, connecting with her community and her global community to make this happen 2 years in a row. Just amazing. But it took 10 years for her to get to that point, and a lot of patience.
And then in 2023.
Yes. Seema said she wanted to expand from the school and spread this out to the broader community. So she had selected about 15 leaders from the Bethlehem region. Some of them were politicians. There was school teachers, professors. A person had worked for the United Nations and was now doing some other nonprofit work. They had 15 people from all walks of life there. And she asked us to try and teach them this community development stuff so they would understand it. And they also wanted help with grants and grant writing. So working with Seema, we tailored the curriculum, and we were there for almost 2 weeks. And we had the training classes. They were about 2 hours long near the end of the day, end of the workday. We did that 3 times. In between, we were invited to go to the workplace or schools of our students to see their reality and what assets they had to create their possibilities. And each one of those visits was a project unto itself. One was they had an auditorium that was only framed out, and they wanted to finish it. And we had to go through the whole process of so what? So you're going to finish the auditorium. What's the impact? What's the impact? And they were in the process of writing a grant, and we helped them to flip it around from being architectural to having an impact on the community in terms of a venue for arts and drama, as well as classes and general purpose meeting space. So that was really an amazing experience. And the people knew what they were about. They were all successful people, but they hadn't quite heard this idea of the glass is half full, and we don't have to ask for all the money. We just pull in what we've got, and then our grants will look stronger because you're showing what you've got. And if you show the impact, you can fill the gap with the grant. So that's been quite an experience.
Another thing I wanted to highlight about that trip was the interconnectedness of the people who were there.
Mm-hmm.
All of these people worked or lived in the neighborhood of Ben Jala, which is part of Bethlehem. And all of them had been working in silos in their own individual work, whether it was the university, whether it was the radio station. There was a free media station there. There was a women's, professional women's, Muslim women's group there. There was a woman who had who worked full-time as a tech person, but wanted to open an after-school center. And they were all trying very hard to make things happen. And one of the outcomes of that gathering was that they were able to connect with one another.
Yeah.
And build those relationships so that they could leverage their assets was another major thing I think was accomplished in that community. And we held our sessions at the
WIAM
Center,
WIAM, yeah,
which was a peace and reconciliation center, and we met with grandmothers.
Yeah.
And Doug led a group of grandmothers in singing and dancing and culture,
yes.
but then empowerment. What can we do as grandmas? What can we do to improve the quality of life in our neighborhood? And all of that through connecting with one another, they saw that not only was the glass half full, but overflowing with assets there, right where they lived. And if we bring it back to the very beginning of your talk, when people living under occupation, people with borders and checkpoints and not being able to have commerce, to be able to discover what was in their community, be able to work with that was amazing. And we have another 3 minutes. So I wanted you to just share a little bit about what we're doing right here in Rutherford, New Jersey, which is a very different context in a suburban neighborhood 11 miles from Times Square outside of New York City.
The church is downsized and they moved into a downtown area, a modified bowling alley. But they made a beautiful space there for worship as well as general meetings and events. And the church is reaching out to those people who are spiritual, but perhaps not religious, but they are looking to develop their spirituality, and they might go to different churches or Buddhism or what have you. So Annie and others have gotten involved with the Chamber of Commerce. So we've got a connection with the business there and a chance to listen to what are the problems of the community. I was able to attend that Chamber of Commerce a few weeks ago, and it was a dynamic group. And last week we had on a Wednesday evening what I consider a town hall meeting, where we'd invited people from the leadership in Rutherford as Chamber of Commerce and average citizens to come, as well as people from our congregation. So we had a chance to talk about issues that were of interest, that is, things people cared enough to act about, or projects that were already underway. And we ended that evening with a list. I think I had 4 or 5 real projects that were popping up there that can take on a life where our congregation can be doing this with the community engagement. We still have the pennies for Charisse and we cook the meals and so on, but we wanted to get them into doing this asset-based community development right there in their hometown, to go out from worship and do it.
Amen. Well, Doug, thank you so much for spending these moments with us and sharing your experience with our students there. Each year, more and more people across the country are embracing community engagement. More and more churches who are shrinking in membership are seeing that God is out there, out in the community, doing all sorts of amazing things, and all we have to do is to join in.
Let me add that the first 2 weeks that we were in the bowling alley, moved downtown, we got 4 new members, just because of location, leaving the door open, being there midweek, doing Bible study there with the door open. People walked in. 4 members in a couple of weeks. Amen. Community engagement.
Well, God bless you, Doug, as
Thank
always.
You.
Doug,
yeah.
Looking to, and hopefully you'll get to meet some of our students in person as well.
I hope so, and you can give them my contact information if they have questions. And yes.
God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.